The Crypto Fear and Greed Index is currently sitting at 30, still resting within the fear category. Crypto sentiment is currently moving back up, albeit just slightly, still resting in the neutral category at 47. When jumping over to take a look at the top 1,000 cryptos by market cap, we can see that the top 3 categories are the only ones of 10 that are in the green, with the 101 to 200 category performing the best over the last year, currently up 31% collectively. And most of the excitement tends to be around the time when we're experiencing a bull market. And during bear markets, volume becomes weak, engagement becomes scarce, and people just kind of put it out of their minds. Basically, to sum it up, it's often similar to this.
Here's Johnny.
And as always, this is not financial advice and is nothing short of the rantings and ravings of a man who firmly believes that all work and no play makes Lane a dull boy. But do me a favor and hit that like button before we get started. I would really appreciate it. First off, jumping over and taking a look at Algorand, which I recently talked about in a video that I uploaded on Monday. In this video right here, since that upload, talking about Algorand being a great opportunity, price has gone up since then nearly 50% at its peak within the last week. When we look at the monthly chart, we can see that the previous all-time low was sitting right here. This candle came down, punched through it, taking out the previous low. Then the following monthly candle right here swept that candle low. If we now jump over to the 4-hour chart, we can see the low was in right here, and very well could be the breakout we've been waiting for, as if we take a look at this, we can see that we have a wave 1, 2, moving up for the wave 3, down for the 4, and up for the wave 5. Essentially, after coming off of this low right here, from the very bottom, we've already seen a 60% increase in the price to this high that we just set, which basically took the price up to about 0.127 cents. One thing we definitely want to be watching with Algorand is we want to watch the retracement levels and see what happens here, because that could give us a lot of information moving forward. Coming off of that high, down to this low right here. Because if this is the bottom for the previous pattern that we were just trading in, which was an expanding ending diagonal, and we have now moved into a new bullish impulse to the upside, this 5-wave move right here could be the wave 1 of 5 of that bullish impulse, which means that this retracement could be as big as 99% of the entire move, which could pull us down to the 99% fib right here, although it's more likely to end up either in the 618, the 702, or the 786 range. The 618 would be perfect because it would sweep this low right here for the wave 4. But watching this retracement could give us a lot of information moving forward. As we can see, on the 4-hour, the price is well above the Gaussian 50-50 line. It's also above it when we go over to the daily chart. But in regard to the weekly, there's still quite a ways to go just to touch it. And even though this did break out quite a bit earlier than even I expected, when I use my standard measuring technique, going off of this high, off of the candle body low right here of the breakthrough candle through the Gaussian 50-50 line, putting the 50% line on the bottom of that candle body, we can see that the price fell short of coming down to the bottom of that measurement mechanism, which certainly isn't required. And when we jump back over to the weekly chart, we can see the current price action that we're now trading in right here. This was the Trump election pump in November, moving up to this high right here, which was the start of the bear market about 16 months ago. We can see that Algorand has been trading within an A, B, C zigzag to the downside. This correction may very well be over. An ABC zigzag is a 5-wave move to the downside for the wave A, a 3-wave move up for the wave B, and a 5-wave move to the downside for the wave C. You can clearly see where the bull market ended on this chart. Now jumping over to the daily chart to dial in on the final wave C of that ABC zigzag, which is a 5-wave move to the downside, we see that final wave 5 right here in red, which is also subdivided into 5 waves. Algorand has been trading within an expanding ending diagonal ever since starting this wave 5 in late October of 2025. I certainly was expecting to see the prices come down to these lower fib levels right here, which it did not quite get to. We know that this low swept the previous all-time low and also swept all the liquidity off of this chart, at least to the degree to where it took out the liquidity resting between these lows. We did see a strong bullish divergence form on the chart right here in price and down here in the momentum, moving into this breakout which we saw. This white arrow represents the YouTube video that I released on Monday talking about an incredible opportunity in Algorand and IOTA. Perfect timing. But we now see some very interesting things on the Algorand chart. Once price hit this low right here, broke out to the upside, it took out a bearish fair value gap that was resting right here and has since formed this bullish fair value gap right here on the daily, which is very likely going to act as support. We also broke through this resistance area right here, which was a bearish fair value gap on the daily, and have now pushed up into this bearish order block on the daily that is acting as resistance as we speak. This is where there's a high concentration of short sellers, which once the price pushes up, it triggers their short sell orders, which sells Algorand into the market and pushes the price down. We want to watch to see if this bearish fair value gap right here that has this top resting at about 0.109 cents, just under 11 cents, we want to see if this is going to act as a support level moving forward. Because this wave 5, which we just saw on the 4-hour chart, if we come down for the ABC, either of these two levels could act as a support mechanism between this bearish fair value gap or potentially even this bullish fair value gap. But as I said, we could retrace up to 99% if this is a new bullish impulse and is a wave 1 moving into a wave 2. Now, pulling these fib levels here, coming off of the wave 4 termination and coming off of this pattern low right here, gives us these fib levels. I'm definitely watching to see how this price reacts, not only to this bearish order block, but these fib levels themselves. Now, there's certainly no rule in the universe that says price has to come down to these lower fib levels. And in regard to Algorand, this incredibly bullish move that we have seen this week was due mainly to this news release right here. And we even see that Algorand, in regard to Google, essentially peer reviewing the quantum resistant blockchain protocol that Algorand has been working on for quite some time. You can read this article on CoinMarketCap if you're interested, but essentially this is way better than just Algorand claiming to have it because Google has actually researched it themselves. And when we jump over and take a look at the ALGO exchange liquidation map, this is the 180-day chart, we can see where price is currently trading represented by this red arrow here. We can see that there remains quite a bit of liquidity resting below the current price, pushing down into this range here of about that 7-cent mark. When we jump back over the daily, we can see that that's the exact same area that we are seeing right here for the 1.618 Fibonacci, resting in that same area. That's certainly no guarantee that price is going to eventually reverse and come back down here. I would personally prefer to see it push down, finish the wave 2 termination, and start to move into a bullish wave 3. But we're still kind of sitting at that point right now where we're just watching, waiting for a confirmation. Is price going to get rejected off this bearish order block and make a deep retrace, potentially 99% or greater, which would invalidate this as a wave 1? Or will price consolidate, eventually get above this bearish order block, and then start to continue moving higher? When we jump over to take a look at the liquidation heat map, This is the 3-month chart. There's quite a bit of interesting information on this chart. We can see that the thickest band of liquidity was taken out right here, price came down, bottomed, left this remaining pool of liquidity before moving to the upside in this 5-wave move. Now if you look at the chart carefully, you can see this liquidity that is forming below the price. These are liquidation points and stop losses for people who are going long. But when you look right here up above the candles, you can see these boxes of liquidity forming here. And above the price in this area here, these are short positions. And all of the liquidity forming here represents short stop losses and short liquidations. We can see when the price was trading down here, shortly after the breakout, people already started putting their shorts in. So there's been a lot of people that have been liquidated on the short side thus far. But there is still quite a bit of liquidity resting above the current price, pushing up into this range here just below 15 cents before it starts to thin out. And there still remains quite a bit of liquidity resting down here below this previous low, which could also be taken out. But only time will tell whether or not we're going to come down, set a wave 2, continue moving to the upside in a bullish fashion, or if we take out this previous low, sweeping out this liquidity that still remains before seeing the reversal. So we definitely need to watch what's going on right now in this price action to help us determine which of those two potential options we are going to see moving forward. If you've been looking for a place to swap your cryptos for 0 fees and save some coin, use my link and sign up for BitUnex. You'll be glad that you did. Now jumping over to take a look at ZBCN, this is on the daily chart. We can see that since setting this high right here at the end of May in 2025, ZBCN has been trading within an ABC zigzag to the downside, which is a 5-wave move down for the wave A, a 3-wave move up for the wave B, and a 5-wave move to the downside for the wave C. Now the way I currently have this charted, with the pattern low being the wave 3 termination, moving up to this area potentially being the wave 4, still having a wave 5 remaining, does not look like it's charted out properly. Especially with the price action that we're now seeing. This looks bullish, and it looks like there is a good probability that the price bottomed right down here and has already started reversing to the upside. Now if we get in here and dissect this just a little bit, this could be considered a wave 1, but this could be also. Now when we look at these 2 points, you have to dial in here quite a ways to actually be able to tell the difference between this. But this red line right here is slightly below this green one right here, which means, in my opinion, the best place to put this wave 2 is right here. But when we look at this point right here, it's resting below the wave 1 termination. So I very well could have charted this out wrong, and what we actually could have been seeing is this being the wave 3 termination, with this being the wave 4, these lows right here being the wave 5 termination, as well as the primary wave C, which in this case would mean that this ABC zigzag to the downside would essentially have completed right here. And we are now moving into a new bullish formation, which could potentially negate this right here completely. And we can see that after bottoming right here in this bullish fair value gap, price moved up, traded within this triangle pattern, which essentially is accumulation, then breaking out up above this upper trend line, pushing up nearly perfectly to the 0.5 fib, flagging right here, a perfect little bull flag, and has now continued breaking out to the upside. The one thing that concerns me here is the fact that after setting this high, the price has come up and just now swept this high. A lot of times when you see these breakouts, if they're false and it's basically just a bull trap in disguise, you'll see it sweep these highs before breaking back down. But another thing, we have formed a bullish fair value gap right here on the chart that could potentially act as support. We could see that it did a great job of supporting price right here, pushing up to where we're currently trading. And on top of that, we actually have a bullish order block now also sitting right here that could also act as a support mechanism for price moving forward. So it does look like we're building an absolutely incredible base of support right here for ZBCN. We can also keep an eye on these retracement levels, wherever this high ends up being, measuring off of this, coming down to the bottom here, coming off of these lows. If this is in fact the bottom, we could watch these potential retracement levels. And the 0.618 is sitting right at the exact top of this bullish order block. We can see how this triangle pattern reacted. Each time price wicked down into this, it instantly got rejected, 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 breakout to the upside. So there's a lot of liquidity resting down in this order block right here, supporting price. Even if this bullish fair value gap right here does not support price, doesn't hold it up, we very well could see the same reaction if price comes back down and retraces to the 0.618. This area right here might be a very good entry if price does retrace back down into this area. If you missed this and you missed this, I would definitely be looking into this area. And when we jump over to look at the ZBCN exchange liquidity map, we can see where the price is currently trading right here, where the red arrow is. Below the current price, there's not a ton of liquidity, but there's definitely some liquidity down here, pushing down to about that range of about 0.002 cents, which when jumping back over to the daily chart, we can see is the area right above the 0.618, resting slightly above this bullish order block. Jumping over to take a look at the liquidation heat map, this is also on the 3-month chart. This gives us a much better idea of what we're dealing with overall. As we can see after setting this low right here, which very well could be the wave C termination that we just discussed, it did leave quite a bit of liquidity resting below that low. And since that low was put in, you can see how much liquidity has piled up since then, with a very thick band of liquidity resting right here at about 0.0016 cents. After breaking out of this triangle pattern right here, it took all of this liquidity that had been concentrating above these previous highs. Price has now pushed up into this thick band of liquidity right here and has gradually been chewing on all of this liquidity that's formed above any previous high. We also have a very thick band of liquidity resting right here at about 0.0035 cents above this previous high. This certainly could be a potential target, but when watching that retrace coming down into this range right here, which is the range of where the 0.618 is, if it does push a little bit deeper, we can see this thick band of liquidity right here could be a likely target. As doing so, on that retrace pushing down, could essentially sweep out this liquidity below all this previous lows that was resting in the triangle. There's certainly no guarantee it's going to come after these lows, and there's certainly no guarantee that it's going to come after these highs, or which one is likely to come first. But we definitely know the areas to look for. If you're looking to go long, keep your eye on this area right here. If you're looking to short, look to this area right here. But all in all, it definitely looks to me like this very well could be the wave C termination, and we could be moving into a new bullish pattern. The only thing that would change my mind at this point is if this low is taken out right here. So we definitely want to watch to see how price reacts moving forward, especially if it starts to retrace back down to the downside. So watch this previous low resting right here, because if we take that out, we want to watch the 618, the 702, and the 786. But no matter how you chop it up, I think ZBCN, Zebec, has an absolutely incredible future ahead. And investing at these prices, regardless if it's here or here, in my opinion, is going to turn out to be an absolute blessing in the long term.
They call me a god.